Hi everyone, Janie here, and if you watch my videos, especially lately, you know that I love making home decor projects. And today I'm going to be walking you through making a coffee mug tower. So this will be a tower that you can hang your coffee mugs or teacups off from. And like the other projects earlier this month, it is going to have a rustic, distressed farmhouse look so that it will match my kitchen and dining room. So let's head on over to the craft table and get started. I will show you the steps it took to go from this to this. The first step, I used Ceram Coat chalk paint in London Stone, and I got this from Create for Less. And I used it to paint these blocks that my husband cut for me. They are approximately 4 inches by 4 inches square, cubed. And they are definitely rustic and weathered, which is what I was going for. So I gave each of the 4 blocks a coat of this chalk paint. And then I'm going to let that dry before I go on to the next step. If you want to make one of these coffee mug towers, you can cut your blocks to the size that works for you. Like I said, we used 4-inch square. You can use 5-inch or 6-inch, whatever you feel works best for you. There is no exact measurements for doing this. And you also don't have to use wood that is so weathered like what I used, but this is what's going to match our kitchen decor. I'm just putting 1 coat of this chalk paint on all 6 sides of each block. You don't have to use chalk paint to do this, and you don't have to use the same color that I'm using, but a dark color is best for the base coat. And now that all 4 blocks are painted, we're going to be moving on to the next step. I'm going to be using Home Decor Texture Chalk Paint in Whisper White, and I also got this at Create for Less. And I'm not going to be giving a full coverage coat on this, as you will see. I'm going to be giving it kind of a weathered, distressed look. Basically, you are using gentle strokes and not completely covering the underneath color, so that shows through, and that gives it that look like it's, kind of wearing off, kind of distressed, aged kind of look. You're not going for perfection, because anything that is aged, weathered, or distressed, it isn't perfect. You're not going to see the same thing on every side. You're not going to see the same thing every time you do it. And so you just do what works for you, allowing as much to show through that you want to show through. And whatever you end up with is what's going to be perfect. In crafting, I often say it is the imperfections that make it perfect. So just like with the darker undercoat, I'm going to be painting all 6 sides of all 4 blocks. And even though I haven't been showing it, there's also a base that these sit on, and I am doing the same paint technique on that as well. And now that all 4 blocks are painted, it's time for the next step. Next, I'm going to be using Deco Art Americana Decor Cream Wax and a special brush that is made for applying the wax. And this is to protect the chalk paint that we have just put on, so that if this gets, anything splattered on it, it gets wet, it won't destroy the chalk paint and it will be able to be washed off. I've used chalk paint many times, but I have never waxed it, so this is a first. And I did choose to use the brush, but you can also use a clean, lint-free cloth. And if you feel you have too much on there, you can, wipe it off, and it dries rather quickly. And I actually enjoyed using this wax, and I think I will continue to use it on my projects just to protect them. According to the directions, after it dries, you can buff it to a desired sheen if you would like, but I am not going to be buffing mine at all because I still want it to have that kind of a dull, chalky, distressed kind of look. So I'm going to leave it just the way it is. And now all 4 blocks are done, and here is the base that I was telling you about that will have a pole in it in a little bit. So I decided it needed a little something else to give it some interest, and decided that on the bottom and top block I would put some napkin art on 2 sides. And that is what I'm getting ready to do right here with this napkin that I felt was absolutely perfect. So I'm cutting out 1 square of the napkin because I'm just going to be using 1 square for each side. And then I am separating the plies because you only want the very top layer of the napkin for this process. And I'm getting my Mod Podge ready because I'm going to be using that as well. I'm using matte Mod Podge, but you can use whatever Mod Podge works best for your project. Before adhering the napkin to the block, I'm going to use my water brush to go around the edges of the part of the napkin that I want, and that's going to make it easier for me to tear away the edges that I don't want. Some of you may be wondering why I just don't use scissors to cut out the area that I want, but I really don't like that blunt look. I prefer the soft, uneven edges that I get when using my water brush and just tearing away the excess areas that I don't want. So I figured out how I want to lay it on there, and it's time to put my Mod Podge on. And I'm just going to use my foam brush to cover the entire side of that block with my Mod Podge. And then once I have that done, I'm going to be laying my napkin on it right where I had wanted it and gently press it down. Just kind of pat it down. You don't want to really rub it because with the napkin being damp from the Mod Podge, it is really easy to tear or wrinkle. I'm using the water brush along the edges to make it easy to tear off the excess napkin. Do this gently so that you don't tear off more than you want. If there are still some excess pieces, you can gently use your thumbnail to remove those. Once that dries, I'm going to gently add a coat of Mod Podge over the top. Now the blocks are done and ready for the hooks to be attached. As we went through this process, I'm sure you saw the holes that had been drilled up through the center of the blocks. And this is the pole attached to the base that those blocks are going to be attached to. But you may not want to use a pole. You may just want to use a wood glue and glue the blocks together. And here is my finished coffee mug tower with my coffee cups on it, being displayed nicely on our coffee center. Thank you all for watching today, and I hope this gives you some ideas of your own. And below in the description box, you will find links to the paints that I use that is from Create for Less. And also, if you're interested in seeing some other home decor ideas, you can just click right here. Happy crafting, everyone. Bye-bye.